Today on DNVR Buffs Live, could the Buffs make it into the college football playoff as an at-large bid without winning the Big 12? We dive into what that would look like and some good stuff from the press conferences today. Let's do it. Let's go.
Squat.
Let's go, man. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by your front range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. DNVR Buffs Live. Today, we get into a little bit of recruiting. We get into the press conferences. But first, we're talking about the Buffs making the college football playoff. Let the record stand. It is October 30th. And on the DNVR Buffs podcast, we are talking about Colorado making the college football playoff.
Speaking of it being October 30th, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to
our
Cam.
boy, Cam Stillman Craig. Can't drown a shark.
Can't drown no shark.
And that's what it says on the back of this shirt. You guys should go buy one.
Happy glow day, bro.
Anyways, yes, we are talking about the Colorado Buffaloes potentially making the college football playoff in late October. Man, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, so we got a lot to get into with this. This came out yesterday, though, from ESPN, from Bill Connolly. He does the FPI stuff and kind of put out his conference forecasts, favorites, long shots, all that stuff. For the Big 12, favorites, BYU 33.8%, Kansas State 30.1%, Iowa State 27.4%. No, he has none listed in fighting chance, and he has long shots. First one is Colorado with a 5.2% chance to win the conference.
Why would they not have a fighting chance?
I don't know, dude. Apparently TCU still has a long shot too, 1.3%.
Interesting.
So by that logic, Colorado and TCU have the same chance of winning the Big 12. Basically.
Well, they said 5% versus 1%?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But I don't know. 5% seems more than a long shot at this point.
Right.
I think 5% is low for,
So do I.
Actually, we'll have to mess around with this, but our guy Ruben just sent us a Big 12 calculator, basically, where you can pick the outcome of every game and then hit generate results. So you can literally see everything we were talking about the other day. What if this happens? What if that happens? Mm-hmm. So I'll definitely spend about an hour tonight just trying out all the different scenarios, figuring out what we need to happen. But
have you learned anything from it yet by messing with it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Let me like take some notes down and write it all in. All right. But it's really cool because it'll tell you why. So once it spits out the results, it'll tell you like Iowa State has a tiebreaker over Colorado because of this. Then you could go back in and like try something different. Then it's like, oh, okay, that's what flips that tiebreaker. Like all sorts of different stuff. So it's cool. We'll send out the link later. What's crazy is I don't necessarily think that Colorado has to win the Big 12 to get into the college football playoff. And actually, I'll look this up in a second here, but Vegas odds right now are slightly higher for Colorado to make the college football playoff than they are for Colorado to win the Big 12.
Interesting.
Yes.
It's going to be a discussion. We have CFP rankings coming out on Tuesday after this next week's games. In this article, Bill Connolly, he did like a projected BCS style CFP rankings. Colorado didn't move. They're still at 23 in this. But as you were saying before the show, they are the highest ranked 2-loss team that is not from the SEC or Big Ten.
That is correct. If you were to guess Colorado's odds to make the college football playoff right now, what would you guess?
Like betting odds?
Yes.
Plus 2,500.
Scott?
Yeah, I was going to say like plus 3,000 or something like that.
Way, way, way off. Both of you.
Plus 10,000 still?
Plus 600.
What?
Wow.
Plus 600.
Wow.
Okay.
So, to my point, they're plus 600 to make the
That's to
college
make the
football playoff.
right? Yeah.
And they are, actually, it's equal on this book, plus 600 to win the Big 12.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Because again, at this point, were you 6-2?
Yesterday, I think it was plus 600 versus plus 750. But
Okay.
either way, Vegas is clearly saying Colorado has a real chance of making the playoff.
That's what I was just gonna say, bro. Like again, at this point in the season, at 6-2, I mean, how is a college football playoff committee gonna leave off a 10-2 or even a 9-3 Colorado team out of the playoff? You know, again, we've heard from Big 12 football coaches, you know, this past summer at the Big 12 Media Days that they realized that at this point in time, football, and particularly college football, is an entertainment business. And who's better at the entertainment business in college football than Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter? And it's part of the reason why every game Colorado has played so far this season has been on national TV, is because you need them on TV. They bring in ratings. They bring in numbers. And again, if they are not the Big 12 regular season champions this season, you know what I'm saying? And they're fighting with a couple other programs to be that last or one of the last kind of at-large spots. Why wouldn't that be a factor that gives them an edge over another team or two? I think it has to be. And for that reason, I think the odds kind of dictate that, right? Even if they don't win the Big 12, assuming things go the way they have been going over the last few weeks, they're going to be very much live to still in that large bid for sure.
And think about how many people just want to see Shedeur and Travis in a playoff game going up against either another SEC or Big Ten school.
Exactly.
I mean, you want to talk about draft film that's put on repeat,
100%.
that one would be right up there.
And Shelley was saying, so are you saying 3 teams from the Big 12 would make it? No, I'm actually not. I'm saying that in this case, Colorado loses out on the Big 12 title game on tiebreakers. Mm-hmm. And let's just say Kansas State were to go up against BYU, and BYU stays undefeated.
Okay.
BYU blows out Kansas State again in the Big 12 championship game. Now they've blown them out twice. They have an extra loss that Colorado doesn't have on their schedule. And because of that, they get bounced down and Colorado bounces in or something along those lines. Like, I'm not saying there's no way that there could be 3. I would say that's probably less likely. But here's the thing about this. There are a lot of 0 and 1 loss teams left in the country.
Yep.
And so while I do think everything that you guys just said is true, and that this is about entertainment, it's about ratings, it's about money in the end, there's going to need to be quite a bit of help in front of them for Colorado to get in, because the playoff committee is going to at least have to be able to justify it.
Yeah.
And I think that, trust me, I am 100% in that they're going to want to be able to justify it. But, you know, basically, all of the top 13 teams in the country right now all have 0 or 1 loss. Alabama's 14 with 2 losses. LSU is 16 with 2 losses. Ole Miss 2 losses at 19, and then Colorado 2 losses at 22. You're gonna at least need 5 or 6 more teams to lose at least 1 game, and then a few more to drop down to 2.
Yep.
Which is going to happen.
It's November.
It's gonna happen.
It's going to be chaos. But this situation for the Big 12 title game is not unique. Like, the SEC is in a crazy situation where if LSU beats Bama this week, and then I think if Texas beats A&M at the end of the year, somehow the SEC championship would still be like LSU versus A&M, and like Georgia and Texas would be out.
Wow.
So there's a lot of that. The Big Ten's a mess right now too. There's a scenario where Oregon can still go undefeated and not make the Big Ten championship game.
Wait, what?
How is that?
I don't know.
Because there's multiple. Because Indiana's undefeated in that conference, and then who? Ohio State.
No, they lost to Oregon.
Right.
I guess it would be 3 undefeated.
Oh, Penn State. Penn State's undefeated.
So there are going to be 3 undefeated teams in the conference, and then
one
Oregon,
of them have to be left out. Right. That's crazy.
based on their tiebreakers.
Yeah, and that's the number 1 team in the country right now.
Man,
That would be funny.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, man, there's still a whole full month of college football still to be played.
And
the
this
whole
is-
month of November.
And this is when it gets the craziest.
Right,
Yep.
exactly.
Because we're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids being under the most pressure they've ever been in a game in their life. And just crazy stuff starts to happen. We've seen it time and time and time again.
Yeah.
But the reason why I really wanted to bring this up is because, like, we're on bye week this week.
Yep.
You want to root for every team in front of you to lose.
course.
And then the only other thing I would say is, like, if you have an undefeated team playing a one-loss team, you kind of want the one-loss team to lose. Knock them down to the 2-loss ranks.
Right.
Rather than adding another
Yeah,
team to the
thin it out.
one-loss
competition,
ranks.
yeah.
So the last time the Buffs were on bye, was that when Alabama lost to Vanderbilt?
It was.
So I'm not saying anything, but
Oh, yeah.
this
No.
weekend there could be fireworks.
I am saying it because I haven't
All
seen
right.
it yet, but soon someone is going to say that this weekend's slate sucks.
And
It's going to
that-
happen.
That's
As soon
gonna
as
do
someone
it.
looks at it.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody looks at it.
Because you've got Ohio State, Penn State, great. And then the only other ranked on ranked game you have is Pitt SMU, which, all due respect to those programs, it's on ACC network. Like no one even cares about that game.
Yeah.
So someone at some point is going to say, "Man, this slate this weekend sucks," and we need that because as soon as they say that, they're going to unlock a epic slate for us where like Duke Miami ends up going to double overtime,
right.
and like Michigan pushes Oregon to the brink, maybe beats them. Texas Tech, Iowa State. Like I'm telling you, someone, one of those national folks needs to unlock it, press the magic button, and say the slate sucks this weekend.
I remember that being a talking point last the Buffs' first bye week. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
people thought
yes.
that CU kind of got lucky being on a bye week because there was just a bunch of crazy stuff happening in the slate of games that weekend.
That is true. Yeah, those chaos weeks. If you don't have to play during those, you just get to watch all the carnage.
Yep.
a blessing.
It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, CFP committee rankings come out for the first time on Tuesday. I'd expect chaos from that too. I mean, as we've seen,
Yeah.
they shake it up. They're not going to go chalk with what the AP or even the coaches poll has done. The CFP usually has a team way higher than most other polls do, and they do show love, I think, pretty fairly to the other conferences that aren't SEC and Big Ten, at least in the top 25, maybe not in the top 4 or top 12.
And honestly, that's a good point too. That could end up working out in Colorado's favor. It's that CFP, like you said, they're not just looking at the AP standings or your AP poll rather, or the coaches poll, and doing it based off that. Like maybe similar to how the NCAA football game felt about Colorado in the offseason. Like
Right.
the CFP committee might be higher on Colorado than maybe the consensus, which wouldn't be too surprising, but would again be beneficial to the Buffs' chances of being an at-large team.
For sure. So we'll get into game picks tomorrow, I think. But Kansas State on the road playing Houston. Houston's terrible. But big game in the Big 12. Biggest game of the weekend. Texas Tech going to Iowa State.
Did
So,
Houston
game.
win this last weekend? Yeah, they beat
yeah,
Utah.
they beat Utah. Yeah.
You know?
17-14, I think it was. So
Yeah, and the Texas Tech Iowa State one is interesting because it's like you need Iowa State to lose. So you're rooting for Texas Tech, but then at the same time you're like, nah, don't let Texas Tech look too good
Right.
because you got to go play them
Facts.
next week.
yep. And then out of conference, I mean, LSU and Alabama play each other. So that's going to be 1 3-loss team at least
Oh yeah,
from there.
they're probably wow. That's the other thing that's so sick about the 12-team playoff. Like that's low key an elimination game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely it is.
It'd be hard for the loser of that game to sneak in.
Yeah,
No
that's
doubt.
awesome. Like we've never had this many of those.
Right.
Right.
Once in a while, you got like LSU Alabama or Georgia Alabama late in the season where it's like, okay, one team has one, they both have one loss, like someone's gonna be out. But now you're gonna get this like in multiple. I mean, basically every game CU plays from here on out is an elimination game for them.
Yep.
In the college football playoff and in the Big 12 race, but you're gonna get more and more of these ranked on ranked matchups that are for high stakes. There's a chance that multiple conference championship games are, if you lose, you're out. If you win, you're automatically in, of course. This is going to be good stuff coming down the stretch. Not to mention, we also have Boise State, San Diego State on Friday night.
Yep.
So we get to have another look watching Ashton Genty, hoping that he doesn't have a good game.
For sure. With that being said, go vote for the Heisman right now. ESPN.com. You've tweeted out. Everyone's tweeted out a link if you're on Buffs Twitter.
Yep.
But go vote.
We're stuck at 28% lead. Gotta get
What
those numbers
comeback,
up.
though.
For real.
Yeah, from a 3-point deficit to a 28-point lead.
Yep. All right, let's take a break and then we'll get into press conferences from today. Shout out to our friends over at Game Time, the homies. We're on bye, but I know the chat. I mean, they're from all over the place. So there's probably a college football game going on near you this weekend. And if you want to get in the door, hit up our friends over at Game Time. Take out all the guesswork of buying tickets with Game Time. Use Game Time Picks to see the view from your seat, find the best deals in the stadium. And it's not just games, concerts, events, whatever's going on in your city. Download the app, create an account, use the promo code BUFFS, BUFFS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BUFFS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. Also, shout out to Empire today, the kings of flooring. Make sure you check them out if you are looking for a new floor in your home or your business. They do an amazing job. They did an amazing job for us here at DNVR in the studio, and they'll do an amazing job for you too at your home. And the best part is you'll have them come in, they'll scope out the square footage that you want refloored. They'll give you a free estimate, and you take that estimate and you slash it by $350 when you use the code DNVR. So hit up our friends over at Empire today if you're looking for a new floor in your home or business.
All right, to press conferences we go for today. It was coordinator day. We had Robert Livingston and Pat Shurmur on the podium. I felt like they gave out some good information.
Yeah,
Learned
I
quite
agree.
a bit on the bye week.
I agree. Good stuff.
Let's start off with Coach Livingston. He was asked about, this is a first year for him, right? First year calling plays, being a DC, being in Boulder. So he was just asked about the opportunity and how it's been for him in his first year at Colorado.
Should you just talk about what this opportunity has been like for you? Your first year calling plays and just being a defensive coordinator. What's this been like for you?
It's been great. Again, I said it before. I'll say it again. I'm forever indebted to everybody here, from the head guy, Rick George. Everybody gave me a chance when they didn't have to. So I can't thank them enough. It's a great staff. It's a great group of guys. It's just been a lot of fun. I sprint out of work to come here. I mean, it's phenomenal. We love this city. We love everything about it. So just blessed to be here and trying to make the most of it.
Makes me feel like we can keep him.
I was going to ask, what's the vibe from that?
Look, him wanting to be here is certainly not a problem. Mm-hmm. That's checkbox number one.
Right.
It all just comes down to the opportunities that present himself, Coach Prime himself would agree. You either get elevated or you get terminated.
Yep.
And so if you have a chance to get elevated, you take that. I have a feeling his name at the very least is going to be discussed in head coach opportunities. There's a chance, given his NFL experience and his skills that he showed as a play caller this year, that an NFL team comes calling for their defensive coordinator position.
Sure.
So it's all going to be about the combination of what opportunities present themselves for him, and can Colorado, make sure that financially he doesn't have to take a pay cut to stay here. And I think that part will be taken care of. So to me, it's just going to come down to what opportunities present themselves. If a team comes calling to make him, their head coach, it should be hard for him to turn that down. And I think he would be a fantastic head coach somewhere. Mm-hmm. But the want to part of does he want to be here, I think is taken care of. And I think the money, can be worked out as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have suitors, man. When you when you perform the way he's performed at a certain job, there are going to be other opportunities elsewhere for people to want you to do what you do for them. And that's going to be the case for Robert Livingston, because he's proved to be an elite college football defensive coordinator. And I think there's no reason to believe that he can't do that at the next level, whether that be, again, as a defensive coordinator or as a head coach. Again, to your point, I think he loves it here. I think his family loves it here based on what, he said when he's asked about, their feelings about Boulder and whatnot. And I think he's going to have more than enough talent, even past this year, enough young guys in particular to kind of feel good about the talent level that he can continue to, be coaching a really talented defense here moving forward at Colorado. So, I think everybody feels the same way about Robert Livingston, that he's really that guy. But it's going to be interesting to see as the season ends, when the season ends, what opportunities, like you said, present themselves, and, what decisions, he thinks are best for him and his family.
I think they get one more year out of him.
That'd be awesome.
Be sweet.
and we talk about the NFL, but I don't know. I didn't get to see Robert Livingston in the NFL and how he was. He just looks so happy here in the college game. I wonder if it's kind of unlocked something for him where he wants to stay in the college game rather than going back to the NFL.
Well, and he's been in the NFL game for 7-8 years before this. Like, he's a young guy. I'm sure he's like kind of reinvigorated by dealing with younger players. Like, and we'll get into the recruiting quote here, but it's just totally different than the NFL where it's everyone's job. You know what I mean? Where these kids are just trying to make it to the league at this point.
Totally. I mean, to me, it reminds me of working for a startup versus working for a corporation, like a big corporation. And it's like, man, when you're coaching the college game, it's everyone's like dreams are all still ahead of them.
Yes.
And they're pushing so hard to reach this goal. For most of them, it's to make it to the NFL. It kind of reminds me of like when you're in a young company where it's like everyone's grinding and like, and then you go to the NFL where it's just like, okay, now this is just a job for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it really is not for everyone. But in my years covering the NFL, one thing I really realized is like, man, a lot of these guys look at this as just a way to collect a check, and I can't hate on them for that. But it is very different. You lose a piece of the passion.
Yep. So Robert Livingston was asked about the transition to becoming a recruiter and how that has gone for him. Here's his answer. Recruiting, yep.
How's the transition been for you back to recruiting?
It's fun. Again, we have the recruiting staff does a great job. They kind of present you with, okay, this is this guy, and you get to know him. At the end of the day, you're talking about changing somebody's life. I think too often we focus on, come here and go to the league. Like, dude, you're 18 to 22 years old. This is going to impact who you are, what your family is going forward. So I really enjoy that part, getting to know them and hopefully changing their lives.
Why would you not want to play for a guy like that?
I know, man.
And then you add in Warren Sapp and Damian Lewis
and Coach Prime.
Yeah, the Coach Prime, Kevin Mathis.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, I haven't seen every team, but just watching, I watch as much college football as I possibly can. I don't know if anyone looks like they're having more fun out there than this team.
Yep. I said that last year, just how they vibe in the locker room. Like, they have to be having more fun than every team out there.
Yep.
Have to be.
Even on the field too. Like,
oh yeah,
I've seen multiple clips of Robert Livingston like on the field after big defensive plays, like turning up, like out on the field, like going crazy. Like, players live off that type of stuff, and it makes them play better, no doubt.
I asked Robert Livingston what he's seen from Colton Hood. He's obviously had a little bit of a breakout. This is what he said. Coach, they're one of those guys, Colton Hood, just coming in making some plays for you guys.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a young guy like that just ball out.
Oh, it's just joy, I think, would be the first expression. He's a kid that took a chance on us. Came here when a lot of people, go somewhere to start, but he wants to learn. He wants to learn the game, and just a great kid, great teammate. Plays for us, makes plays on special teams, and when his number's been called, to his credit, he's done a good job. There's so much there. He can be a great player. He's just got to continue to work and learn the game, and we're super excited of where his trajectory is.
Going back to your point a few weeks ago, if we didn't have Travis and Shador and all these guys, what we've seen from Colton Hood would be like, we'd still be talking about it during this bye week.
Oh yeah, it would be a top 3 storyline of what's going on the team.
Yep.
And Jordan Seaton too. I feel like Jordan Seaton doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and we talk about him a lot. But again, if you had a guy who was playing at damn near an All-American level as a true freshman at left tackle, like that would be such a major topic of every week.
Yeah, for real.
So this freshman class has been really, really impressive. And then on top of it, you have these other young guys like Colton Hood, who, I mean, the future of this team is in such better hands, I think, than people think it is.
Just go take a look at the roster and look at how many non-draft eligible players there are.
Yep. And like, I was watching a thing yesterday where these guys were talking about it, and it was a national show, and they were saying, well, eventually you're just going to have players who are around for 3-4 years to build a foundation. And it's like, It's already happening.
Yeah.
By next year, there will be players who are here for 3 years.
Yep.
By the year after that, there will be people who are here for 3-4 years. Like
Yep.
that, they're building that foundation.
Let's go to Pat Shurmur. Speaking of Jordan Seaton, I asked him about Jordan Seaton, just what he's seen from the young left tackle, and how much easier Jordan's just ability and talent makes Pat Shurmur's job. Like having a player like that at left tackle, and how much easier does that make your job?
Well, schematically, we can pull our tackles because he and Phil are both athletic guys that can move around. So, it's just using your personnel to, to their strengths. So Jordan can move around. He does a good job, locating the guy he's got to block. And the scheme fit last week for who we were playing. This week it'll be different because the front's going to be a little bit different. The team, it's a multiple front team. So we may or may not see most, and that's why, like, when you look at things, you say, okay, well, their run game now involves the tackle pulling. Well, maybe for that week because that fit against that defense, right? But yeah, his athleticism is one of his really good traits.
And shout out to Pat Shurmur for utilizing that athleticism, right? It's one thing to have it, but it's one thing for actually to put it in the game plan and have it, pay dividends. And shout out to Philip Houston, too, for being a rock on that right side of the offensive line, right? We knew, or at least a couple games in, we figured that Jordan Seaton would have that blind side protection of Shedeur locked down, but there were big questions about the other side. And Philip Houston over the last few weeks, even though people were a bit unsure about his place on the starting line, he is delivered, and he has, again, been a consistent presence at that right tackle spot. He deserves a lot of credit.
What a reminder to just check yourself before you have a meltdown on social media or on a message board about a player coming into the University of Colorado. I was pissed when Philip Houston committed to the reaction that it got, especially like responding to his post or quote tweeting his post. Like fans, people in Buff Nation saying, man, I thought Coach Prime was going to bring legit players here and this, and we're bringing in this guy, this scrub. Yeah. Like I said, check yourself. Sometimes these guys know what they're doing. Facts. These coaches, these recruiters, these, this staff, sometimes they know what they're doing. And Philip Houston hasn't been perfect by any stretch of the mind, but if I told you that he was going to come in and be a strong contributor when that happened, no one would have believed you.
Well, and sorry, Scott, but he's listed at 250. And people like to point that out, of course, when he committed. And that was like a target that they made fun of, right? We just talked to Max from PFF yesterday, and he said it's the run game for Philip Houston. How about that?
Mauler. Yep. And also, too, sometimes there are really good football players at schools that aren't historically looked at as powerhouses. Yep. Yeah. Philip Houston is one of those examples coming from FIU. LeJontay Wester, who is a dog, coming from FAU, Preston Hodge coming from Liberty. These dudes are players. Don't just look at where a player might have came from their previous school and kind of make judgments because, again, this coaching staff in particular knows a thing or two about talent, evaluation, and identification. So just a great point, though, RK.
And you never know what they know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, first of all, they didn't use all 85 scholarships.
Yep.
So they have the room. And maybe Phil Loadhole saw his film and was like, oh, man, I see something here.
Yeah.
Do we have room for this guy? Can we bring this guy in? I want to get my coaching into this kid and see if I can get him to another level. Maybe they knew a coach on that staff who said, hey, this kid's really about to blossom. Like, give him a shot if you have a spot for him. You never know, like, what caused this to what unfolded to allow that to happen in the first place. So there's no need to crash out when you don't agree with what's happening.
Well, that's the game of recruiting. Like, you meet these kids when they're 16, 17, 18 years old, and even if you recruit them and you want them to come to your school and they don't end up coming, like, you still, I'm sure, have connections, maybe even the kid himself, but, like, that player at that point already, So you can give them a year or two, go somewhere else. And that's why I say, like, whenever someone doesn't pick you, like, you guys got to, like, chill, like, with the – oh, he's going to flame out, blah, blah, like all this criticism, because it's like you never know when they could come back.
Yep. Also, just back to the pulling tackles. Great game plan considering how
Very much
often
so.
Cincinnati wants to put 3 down linemen out there.
Yep.
One, when you're doing 3 down linemen, those guys are going to be bigger, not as fast, so it's going to be harder for them to chase it down from the backside.
Yep.
And then you know that you're starting with a 5-on-3 advantage, but you pull that tackle and you can get 4-on-2
Yep.
on that,
To
side of the line.
For sure.
So that was just great game planning.
All right, let's take our next break, and then we'll wrap up press conferences. Shout out to our friends at UC Health with Coach Prime as the Chief Motivation Officer of the Ready, Set, Coach Challenge. Sleep check. How's everyone doing on sleep?
2 nights in a row, crushing it.
Yeah, pretty
Let's
amazing lately. I can't lie.
Bi-week sleep hits different, doesn't
For
it?
real, for real.
But yeah, big emphasis on sleep, whether it's putting your phone down, setting a bedtime, whatever you have to do to get the best sleep possible. Make sure you do that because we got to get Colorado back to the healthiest state in the country. And sleep is one of the ways to do that. If you want to join the challenge, UC Health's Ready, Set, Coach Challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/readysetco.
Also, shout out to Promotico. If you are looking for an amazing bus that will take you from point A to point B, look beautiful, and have all the bells and whistles that you're looking for, man, check out our friends over at Promotico. I actually had one of our fans hit me up this week and say, hey, I'm looking for a bus. What's the name of the company?
Wow.
So you never know when you might be looking for a beautiful bus like the one we have. Hit up our friends over at Promotico. Go to promotico.net. That's PROMOTOCO.net. 678-208-3436. One last thing. Great point in the comments. I forget who said it. I think it might have been Girls Club. Who said you'd think people would have more of an open mind about where these guys are coming from, given there's multiple HBCU players balling out on this team. I'm paraphrasing because I don't think she said balling out, but she knows they are. Imagine just go to a different world right now. Mm-hmm. Colorado doesn't have Coach Prime,
Okay.
but their team is good, and they accept a transfer from a safety from Jackson State, undersized safety from Jackson State.
Yeah.
People would have crashed out. What is going on? Why are we using a scholarship on this kid? Well, guess what? That kid turns out to be Cam Silman Craig. He's an absolute dog. And he is second in the country
In solo tackles.
in solo tackles. Great point. And it's true. And I know it. People would have been, we're taking an undersized safety from Jackson State.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Sometimes guys are just dogs.
That is true. All right, a couple more things from press conferences. Pat Shurmur was asked about the run game and kind of sustaining momentum. Here's what he said. Run game.
Yeah, no, we did a good job running the ball last week. I thought we had a good plan for going into it, and the credit to the staff. And then I found a way to call them at the right time. That's always a challenge too. And I like to run the ball. I love to pass the ball. Don't get me wrong. I love to pass the ball. But when you're running the ball and gaining yards, that helps the play caller. When you're running the ball and you're getting nubbed and you're like, oh, what is, then it locks people off track. So it goes hand in hand. It's kind of like us on offense. Our responsibility is to get ahead by a score or two. And what you find is when we're playing like that, then the sacks take hold, right? Our defense, then they're going to throw the ball more than they typically do, and that's when your sackers can come alive. So it's all coordinated. Running the ball is one piece of that, and I feel like on our running the ball journey, we're getting better and better, and it's a credit to the players.
I love that from Coach Shurmur because that is exactly, that piece at the end there is exactly why this team has been so successful this season. You get...
Which was what Mac Miller was talking over Pat Shurmur.
I was turned to Mac Miller, man. What a go, man. R.I.P. a legend.
Yes, for
but,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just been the recipe, right? If you get an early lead, like Coach Shurmur just mentioned, it allows this defense that now leads the Big 12 in sacks to get going, to pin their ears back and get after the opposing quarterback. And it allows this defense, which is allowing 6.5 points per game in the second half of games, to just do what they do and be locked down in the second half. And that's kind of been the recipe. And I love that Shurmur, obviously, he knows that. And his play calling lately is certainly been reflective of that with the balance, right? And it's also a window into his thought and his perspective as the play caller and as the offensive coordinator, right? He said it outright. I want to run the football too. I hear y'all. I want to run the football too. But again, if we're getting 2 yards to carry like we were at some points early on in the season, you just can't do it, especially when you have a quarterback like Shador and weapons like they do out on the perimeter. So, like you said at the top, I think it was really informative from Coach Shurmur today, and I really like that part in particular.
Last one. Obviously, LeJohntay has been balling out. He gets the number 1 jersey. Pat Shurmur shared his thoughts on LeJohntay's progression at Colorado.
Yeah, he's like, when you can throw the ball in third and medium and count on a guy getting the first down, it's like being able to call a run and counting on getting 5 yards. And, it's very comforting for a play caller. And LeJohntay's done a wonderful job. I mean, he's made big plays, obviously, right? That's a matter of record. Thank God. But he's been steady. He's been tough. He's done a good job blocking. Again, another player I didn't know very well, but I've gained a huge appreciation for who he is as a player and a person, and I'm really glad he's here.
He's been balling.
Awesome. And he's going to look even faster in number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He might actually get the punt return now that he has number 1.
There you go. That's what we need.
Low key.
All right, Scott. You got some stuff coming out on the site, thednvr.com.
Absolutely.
Who'd you speak to today?
I spoke to recent Colorado Buffaloes commit Christian Hudson, committed to the Buffs a couple weeks ago. Really interesting guy, a hell of a player too. Be on the lookout for that. And Colton Hood as well. I want to go just circle back a little bit to Colton Hood, who we just talked about a little bit. Like I said, chopped it up with him again today. Shout out to Colton for taking some time to chop it up with me. And he just said a few things. I'll just give you a couple snippets, right? One thing that kind of stood out to me was he told me that obviously he started against Arizona, right? With Travis Hunter kind of being a bit banged up. And the plan for that game was basically Travis and Colton swapped responsibilities. So Colton was his starter and Travis basically came in on third down, obvious pass situations like Colton does. And what a luxury that is.
Yeah.
To have your best defensive player not be 100%, you can just bring in a young guy like Colton Hood and he just absolutely play out of his mind, getting the interception, damn near cribbing it once again. And also too, I was just asking about, his brother, Brandon, running back on the team, and Brandon's typically running the scout offense, right? So I asked Colton, I'm like, have you gotten the opportunity to put the pads on your bro yet or whatnot? And Colton goes, quote, there have been opportunities too, but I be sparing him. I don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want to hurt him so bad, so I spare that boy when he come through, which has just had me dead. Obviously, Colton's joking. That's hilarious stuff, though. But just the brother relationship there is hilarious, too. And another thing that I thought about when talking to him, I don't want to put this on him, but is he the next kind of guy to be used like Travis Hunter on this team when Travis obviously leaves for the NFL next year, right? Because
he's talked about it. Colton
didn't really start playing DB until his junior year in high school. And he's talked about that development is something that he's, still growing at, playing that position. But he has a receiver background, and I asked him about it. He goes, quote, it definitely is something I'm looking forward to getting an opportunity to do. We have a lot of guys this year. A lot of those guys are leaving next year. And if the opportunity presents itself, when it does, I'm going to be ready and I'm going to make plays. And we've seen what Colton has done with the ball in his hands after both of those interceptions. He is more than capable of being a valid wide receiver, a valid two-way player. Again, if that opportunity presents itself next season, with Travis entering the NFL. But just a bit of a tidbit from my conversation with Colton. Be on the lookout for that story coming soon. But just good stuff. A talented player, a really dope dude.
To me, I just think all the time about what Coach Prime said about playing both ways, which is if you dominate on one side of the ball, then I'll, consider getting you reps on the other side.
He's well on his way to doing that.
He's already dominating.
Yeah.
Redshirt freshman.
The all-22 of the Arizona game and him covering Tedero and McMillan, who had, 4 catches, 38 yards?
5 for 38.
5 for 38. Was remarkable. Truly remarkable. And, he keeps himself in a position to make a play on every
play.
snap.
Yep.
Which is so special for a guy his age.
Yeah.
So, to me, he has the opportunity because I think he is going to dominate on the defensive side of the ball, and I think he's a future all-conference, all-American type player at cornerback. Yeah. And so then, get him onto the other side. And I don't know if anytime soon we're going to see someone do it like Travis.
Right, and that's why I didn't want to say he's the next Travis Hunter, but maybe used in a way like Travis Hunter is currently being used.
But I could see him getting the Champ Bailey treatment, the Chris Gamble treatment of getting over there. He's also shown that he is a menace with the ball in his hands. So I want to see that more.
And then one more thing, too, from Colton. You wanted to ask him just about his thoughts on just the future, right, of this really young and talented secondary. And he goes, quote, "A lot of people probably think we're going to go downhill because Travis is leaving, but we're going to be better than we were this year, in my opinion, in terms of that back end. Again, with guys like him, DJ McKinney, Carter Stoutmeyer, RJ Johnson. There's some real talent, and youth in this secondary that's going to be good for years to come, for sure.
I love it.
Love it, man. Real quick, what'd you learn talking to Christian?
Christian the dog, man. I'll get into it right now. So again, Christian Hudson, Daytona Beach, Florida, committed to the Buffs a couple weeks ago. ESPN has him as a 4-star. This man had 70 tackles last season as a junior. 27 were tackles for loss, 9 sacks. So I typically ask
the interior of the defensive line,
from
70 tackles.
That's outrageous.
It's nuts, bro. Yeah. It's nuts. So I just asked him, right, like I typically ask high school guys, like, for people who have maybe never seen you play, how would you describe your game, right? People are going to love this. He goes, quote, "Ironically, I'm a little Warren Sapp." And I'm like, that's too tough. Yeah. And actually, him and Sapp go back some years, right? Christian told me that him and Warren Sapp worked together at camps a year or two ago. Their relationship is not new. It's been built. And Christian, again, talking about his game, like he dominates with power, strength. He's obviously a big guy, but he also has some finesse to his game as well, he said. And obviously, he wants to get to the league. That's his dream. He feels like Coach Sapp, Coach Lewis, Coach Prime, obviously Coach Livingston as well are the best guys to help him do that. And obviously, he was two really cool things. I got to share these.
I was going to say, save some for the dive.
Yes.
Don't give away too much.
Fact. So he was at the UCF game, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was at the UCF game. Yeah, Christian Hudson is a former UCF commit, right? He goes, quote, "I went to the UCF game. They lost to Colorado and the stands was empty by halftime."
Oh, no.
He goes, "At Boulder, everybody stayed in their seats waiting to the end of the game to see that final score. Colorado came in and took over. You don't really get that from a lot of traveling teams, especially not a team as far as Colorado is from Florida." So, again, if Christian Hudson turns out to be an elite college football player, which is very plausible at this point, we can look back at that UCF game as the day that he realized that he needed to be a Buff.
That day is just a moment in this program's history.
Yeah, no, seriously.
We got to get the quote graphic made. We'll send that quote internally right now.
I got you. I got you.
Last thing I got for today. You didn't see this, right? The in-helmet communication device thing?
No, how did you guys know I wouldn't see that?
Because I didn't see
I
it.
hadn't even seen it. He told me for the show. I don't know where he even found this. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know. I was just looking through all the sites like I do before the show, just seeing what's out there.
Okay.
And I saw this, and it was on another site, and I clicked on it. So this is from The Athletic. The Big 12 Conference has instructed teams to return their coach-to-helmet communication equipment so that technological concerns with the product can be addressed before this weekend's games.
Bro.
There's no cheating accusations. There's nothing like that going on. But this happened in, let's see, what game is it? It's an early game. It was this is actually not a not Big 12 game. It was Texas A&M and Arkansas on September 28th. I guess Big 12 officials were running that, and they found issues with the headsets. So the Big 12 wants all the headsets back this week before games.
Not a deal.
So if you see issues with headsets on the sidelines, be very thankful we're on a bye this week.
Bro.
And that's a good point. That's a good point, too. They hopefully get the kinks out. I didn't realize that when you said it earlier.
Yes.
That's huge.
That's a good point. Well, when he said it earlier, I'm like, so are they saying they're going to do away with headsets the rest of the season?
That's what I thought he was about to say.
Makes sense.
There's more to this story.
Yeah, something's going to come out.
There's more to this story, I guarantee you.
Something's going to come out.
So a Big 12 school, a source at a Big 12 school talked to The Athletic and said, there are concerns that others can listen in or access opponents' coach-to-player comms.
Wow.
So the Big 12 wants them back. They're going to encrypt them so that it's fine, apparently. But again, no cheating accusations or anything crazy yet.
Yet. That's a big yet.
So
We'll see.
All right. Kansas State, we're looking at you.
Nebraska too. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Sheesh.
That's all I got today. The Buffs did get a top 5 from CJ Wiley. He is a top 100 player on the 247 Sport Composite, 4-star from Milton High School in Alpharetta, Georgia, 6'4", 195. Another wide receiver in the mix.
That's dope. I got to share one more quote from Christian Hudson.
Oh, what do you got?
You brought up Kansas State, right?
Yeah.
He was at the Kansas State game.
Yeah.
For a visit, obviously on the Colorado side. He goes, I've been a lot of different visits and been around the world, and none of them really felt like the way Boulder felt. Even though the game we did go to, they lost, at the end of the day, it still felt like a win. The crowd, the fans, and all that, it didn't even feel like they took a loss. You don't get that from a lot of universities. So even on a game that a top recruit came to and the team lost, he still walked away with a winning feeling and a feeling that, like, no, I think this is still the place I need to be.
Boulder's
that.
different,
Crazy.
man.
And the sound in that stadium when Colton Hood picked off that ball
I know.
was legendary.
Yeah.
Did you guys-
I guarantee you that sticks with him.
Did you guys watch Duke's video?
Yes, I was just going to say, the fans are getting a lot of love this week.
Yep.
Shout out Dukes.
I mean, Dukes was talking about the atmosphere, and he said it basically it rivals any P4 atmosphere, and it's the only P4 atmosphere he would compare to an HBCU.
Yeah, man.
That's so tough.
He was
Go crazy.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, he was saying a ton of like really, really high praise. Said that he's coming from SEC country, he didn't know what to expect from the tailgate culture, that it rivals anything, that the crowd was crazy, the fans were all on the same page. He was naming off Colorado cities that are in for the
I
Buffs.
know.
I was like, where did he get all this? Yeah, he's like, we got Broomfield and Commerce City mentioned in here. So yeah, Dukes is cooking. The only problem is he didn't hit us up.
I know.
What is up with that?
Dukes, you got to let us know, bro.
Jeez.
We'll see him soon.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of love for Coach Riz from Dukes in that video as well. Just talking about watching how they operate the recruiting stuff on game day, around game day, and just how that's all handled at Colorado. It's different.
This is something I think Scott mentioned last week. Might have even been off air. So sorry, I'm putting you on the record here. But we were talking about how there's not it wasn't like a 30-man visit last week.
Right.
It was 8 or 9.
It's like 7.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how that could be a positive thing because everyone gets their attention. I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
And in the video, he mentions that, man, every recruit, is treated equally on this trip. It wasn't, this is the prized possession, he's getting special treatment. Like, everyone got their moment with the coach and everything like that. So that was cool to hear.
Very cool to hear. Shout out to Dukes. Everyone should go check that video out.
We're not talking about Ralphie till the off season.
To the chat we go. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. What are we at? 98.5 subscribers? Yep. Subscribe to the channel. Help us get our plaque and get to 100K. What's up, D-Mills? How many teams does the Big 12 get into the CFP? Would a third place 10-2 Buffs get in over a Big 12 champ losing
Second place team.
Oh, I see what you say. If you lose the title game, I think you're out.
Yeah.
It's been that way for a few years.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see. We've seen it happen all the time in college football where dodging that game can sometimes low-key be an advantage for you.
Yep.
At the same time, though, we also almost want to make a rooting guide for this weekend.
We should. We'll do it tomorrow.
I can see that as a graphic. That can be, I can see that.
Because you also want to root for every team that Colorado has played so far.
Yes. That's strength of
Except
schedule,
for Kansas
right?
State. Yeah, because, again, we want to help the committee help us. We got to make sure, we want the resume to be as good as possible going into it. I won't actually follow this, but you can even make a case for rooting for Nebraska.
Yeah, like you said, every team that they played
I can't do it. I just can't.
We could have used that Nebraska win over Ohio State last weekend. Just saying.
That would have been huge.
Yeah, but I was
that.
celebrating that they lost.
Of course. I mean, it's a win-win scenario, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can spin it one way or another.
With the expanded playoff, it's very much more similar to like March Madness and like the college basketball tournament, right? Where like you looking at resumes and you're looking at who you've played this year and how the teams that you've played, how they've fared in other contests. So you're 100% right. Like you want every team that you played at this point in the season to do well moving forward.
Yep.
Next, Jordan, did anyone ask about Dayon Hayes? No one asked about Dayon Hayes today.
We need to find out about Dayon Hayes.
I feel like coming out of the bye week, if there's still uncertainty, if we're not seeing him in practice next week, I think then it would be cause for concern. But again, it just speaks to the depth, right? You got guys like Keaton Wade, benefiting from Dayon being out of the lineup here recently, who played again. Keaton Wade played again on Saturday, by the way. So that's another, a game where he's trying to stay under that, or he has to stay under that for.
Though.
It seemed like a package.
Yeah.
Third down, and he was kind of like playing at linebacker row as like a rusher from distance, which is very interesting. Again, another different
NASCAR
look
style
from Robert Livingston. Yeah.
Spinback says, any early uniform predictions?
There's still something new coming, so that's a prediction.
Not for next week, though.
No, not for next week. Could be for next week.
I mean,
there's still another new uniform coming, and then I'll say next week what do you call it? Gold Troopers?
yeah.
Maybe they get the white helmets out with the metallic gold numbers.
I still just call them the TCU
The TCU whites.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this question.
What's up, Ivan? Which SEC / Big Ten team would CU match up best against in a potential CFP game?
Let me think
Great
about
question.
that. Great question. I love that question.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Like it would be a good matchup. Like
I think
Like good matchup for CU or
Right.
TV numbers?
Good matchup for CU. Like who is the team you would want to face? The number one thing for me would be I want a pass happy team.
So maybe put LSU to the test.
LSU,
with Nussmeier.
A&M. A&M would be a fun matchup too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the Buffs play Oregon one more time.
Ohio State would be a good one too.
I was looking at Oregon's schedule today. They got no one.
Yeah, they dodged everyone.
What is up with that? That's crazy.
And even the Michigan game isn't going to be very
Well, this game
compelling.
looked better in the offseason, obviously.
Bro, their remaining games are Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington.
Yep.
Wow.
Is
the Big Ten ass?
Colorado
Many
and
are saying.
your Ole Miss Rebels would be a good matchup.
No. They're not my Ole Miss Rebels. My Ole Miss Rebels have some problems, though, let me tell you.
No, Tennessee would be an amazing matchup.
There you
That'd
go.
be fun.
There you go.
That'd be fun.
Tennessee would be a dope matchup. Two high-flying offenses. That'd be sweet.
Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Indiana, Penn State thrown out in the chat. Oregon as well. Artemis says, which games do you see the defense having a shutout in?
What do you mean? Can they pull one off in the rest of the season?
Utah's got to be.
Yeah. Utah has a real chance.
For real, yeah.
They're
they just
terrible
scored
offensively.
14 points against Houston last week.
And they've struggled a lot.
Man.
We missed our chance against Arizona, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
For a shutout.
True.
Yeah.
That damn, love him, but roughing the passer, Sammy Sachs.
No.
Sammy Sachs.
Steve says, what are y'all thoughts on UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka entering the transfer portal?
You know what my actual thought is when I saw this today?
What's up?
This was just an attention grab. Like, bro, we moved on from you. It's all about Hajj Malik now. We stopped thinking about you. And so that's why this came out today. We already knew he was entering the transfer portal. How is that news? How is that getting a graphic from major sites?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know, man.
I'm interested to see where he ends up, though.
Also, the portal's open?
Well, Isn't he a grad technically too?
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was. I was never against him for what it's worth, but today was an attention grab.
Jasmine asks, can you explain how we vote for the Heisman, please? Yeah, so where do I find this on ESPN?
I got
Do
it.
you
I
guys
have a
know?
screenshot of it.
Okay, RK is going to tell you.
Each section within the United States has 145 media votes. There's 4 sections totaling 870 media votes across the country. Additionally, wait, would that add up to 870? Maybe it's 5. Additionally, every former Heisman winner, 57 presently, has a vote as well. So you've got 870 media votes, 57 former Heisman voters. And then in 1999, the Heisman Trophy agreed to develop a special program to allow the public at large to become the part of a balloting process by permitting one fan vote of eligible in the overall tabulation. This program once again continues this year through a partnership with a car company that isn't Toyota, bringing the total number of Heisman voters to 928.
So that could have been what Jasmine was asking about, or she also could have been asking about, like, how do you vote? Like, how do you do
That's
the
what I
fan
thought
vote?
she was
Well,
asking.
hey, this is an educational moment for everyone.
Just search ESPN Heisman vote, and it's the first link that pops up.
You guys could have stopped me earlier.
No, me and Jake
We just looked at each other.
let him go.
Anyways, now we know.
Southside D, I think.
By the way, I think that the former Heisman winners are going to be very pro Travis Hunter.
They should,
I
as
think
they
so,
should.
too.
Thank you, Alyssa. Southside D asks, have they considered expanding the sideline at Folsom?
Bro, they need to, bro. I don't
think
know
that's
if they
possible.
have, but they need to, if that's possible.
Are we going to take out the first couple of rows or what?
Yeah, I mean, if you do that, you're going to have to put in more seats somehow.
Yeah. I would say that I could envision that as part of an expansion of the overall stadium. Give me like Coach Prime 6-year contract extension and we can talk about
Hell
that.
yeah. On the super chats, what's up, DJ Flame? Says, what's up, gents? F them Chiefs. Congrats to Scott. Haven't been able to comment since you've been a part of the squad. Watching these lives be hard AF when you busy. KU made me mad with that loss to K-State. All of us were mad, bro.
Shout out DJ Flame, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we were watching it in between plays in the stands.
Hell yeah.
I'm Heaven's Demon. What's up, dude? Will you guys dress up for Halloween tomorrow?
No.
Unlikely.
Sorry.
Leave that up to the Nuggets.
Yeah,
Facts.
exactly.
Another hot take. I'm just like out on Halloween.
Same, bro.
I've
I'm
kind
with
of
you.
always been that way,
Yeah.
since a kid.
We're gonna get roasted in the comments for that.
Yeah. You know what I'd be really in on, and I'll probably eventually get to this point in my life, like answering the door and handing out Halloween candy. That sounds fun.
Yes.
But other than that, again, it's similar to my take on New Year's. Like,
Oh,
I
don't
can just
start
go
now.
I can just go drink with my friends anytime. I don't need a holiday to like dress up and add an extra layer to this.
So you're gonna dress up at any time for us? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I don't want that extra layer. Like, I don't know. What I used to always say is when I didn't want to dress up in costume, I said, why would I want to dress like anything else? I love being me.
It's the most RK answer I think I've ever heard. DJ Flem again says that KU game is shaping up to be really important. Can't wait to see you guys hit up Jack Stack, have a tailgate. If Travis doesn't win the Heisman, I'm done with the trophy. Hashtag Heisman or else. One more from DJ Flame says, lastly, at the beginning of the year, I made a $1,500 bet with a friend that Colorado makes the playoffs. Hashtag I believe. We coming for everything. Nobody's stopping us. Trav to Denver. Two is going to Miami.
I hope you got odds on that.
So I hope you're right, DJ Flame. Thank you for the support, bro. And then Laura with the super chat. Shout out to Laura.
Shout out Laura.
She says Halloween is up there with New Year's. ... I think she's agreeing with you, RK.
Yeah, Laura, I was taking all the heat from the comments yesterday. Laura was quiet. But then in the DM, she's saying she agrees with me.
Oh, you just
crazy.
exposed her.
That's crazy.
All right. That's it. Dre's going to be on the show tomorrow. We're going to get his thoughts. We haven't had him on in a minute, so it'll be nice to catch up with him, hear what he has to say about the Big 12 and what Colorado has done in recent weeks. Friday, we will have a guest, I think.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
A great guess. One that we wanted for a while.
Yep. Stay tuned. Go to the DNVR, become a diehard, read all of Scott's stuff.
Wait. Really quick. Chris says, does RK have a holiday he likes? Ain't no way he's a Hallmark Valentine's Day guy if he's hating on New Year's Eve and Halloween.
That probably is your favorite holiday.
No,
damn near.
no.
What is your favorite holiday? Christmas? Or
Christmas is goated.
Yeah.
4th of July,
Yep.
underrated. What other holidays are there?
I mean,
the best one?
Labor Day is like college football, like week 1 usually.
That's true. Yep, for sure.
Bro said
It's not
Labor
as much
Day.
of like it's a different type of holiday, though.
right.
Thanksgiving is the best holiday.
Oh,
Thanksgiving,
that's-
I love Thanksgiving.
That's
No
the
doubt
right
about
take.
it.
I love Thanksgiving.
Memorial Day weekend's a good one too, just for all the time off.
This is going to sound corny. I already got accused of being corny a minute ago, but family-based holidays are greater than party-based holidays.
Yes.
So what you saying,
Agreed.
like Father's Day, Mother's Day?
No.
Christmas
Christmas and Thanksgiving, like those are known
Okay.
for like you're spending
Got it.
time with
No
your
doubt.
family.
No doubt.
Whereas like New Year's Eve is like, oh, you're going out and partying.
No doubt. No doubt.
Last one from Auntie K. Hey there, Jake, RK, and Scott. Hope to see you again at the bowl game. I love y'all. Tell Dre and Alyssa hi from us, your ATL fam. LeJonte Western number 1, Headache Gang 21, Overly Blessed 25, Cam Simon Craig, Jordan Seaton 77, Jimmy Horn Jr. 5. Thank you, Auntie K.
Appreciate you, Auntie.
Hell yeah.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
What?